Welcome everyone to another episode of Jyoti's webinar series. This is the 9th one. Thank you, Jyoti, for continuing. So I will hand it over to you. I think it is another one of those EC2 labs that you want to do today.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. Let's get started.
Okay.
Can you confirm you can share your screen?
Yes, let me share my screen. Are you able to see
Yes,
the
I
notepad?
can. I can.
Okay.
All right, let's get
Okay,
started.
Okay, so guys, today's session is going to be a lab session again, and I have kept 3 things in the agenda. First, whatever we have studied, so we have studied about 3 services, which is IAM, EC2, and S3. So today I'm going to connect all the 3 together for you. Then we'll study about AWS EC2, some CLI commands. Okay, so the way we did for S3, similarly we'll do it for EC2. And third is an overview of what is coming next. So the next topic is on AWS networking. It consists of lots of important topics. What I believe personally, if you've understood the networking part, I think your half the job is done with respect to the cloud platform. Okay, so today I'll just talk about the terms which we'll cover in the next session. Okay, and today would mark the end of our EC2 lectures. Okay, so next would be more on networking, VPC, subnet, all those stuff. Okay, and then we'll come to EBS, EFS, and all those things. Okay, so let's get started with our first lab of today, which is now we've accessed S3 individually, we've accessed EC2 instance independently. Now, if from EC2 we want to access S3, okay, so you can take simple example. Your logs are being created on your servers, right? Now you want to add those logs to S3 for somebody else to have a look at it. Okay, so how would you go about doing it? So there are 2 ways of doing it. I'll be covering one way, which is through IAM role. So I've told you, so when we talk about IAM, it's about user accessing resource or entity accessing a resource. So now in this example, EC2 is accessing S3. So what we'll do, we'll create a role, we'll give that role full access of S3, and then we'll associate that role to our EC2 instance, and we'll log into EC2 instance, and we'll see, yes, we are able to access anything which is there on S3. We are always also able to sync stuff which are present in our EC2 instance to S3. Okay, so let's get started. First, let's see what happens if we don't have a role associated with EC2 and we are trying to access S3 from EC2. Okay. Oh, did I close my instance? Okay. Looks like there is some network issue. Okay, so let's go ahead. So we are in Mumbai region. Okay. Yeah. So I'll launch my instance. So let's keep it simple. Review and launch. Launched. Let's take TTC1. Meanwhile, this instance is launching. Let's see if we have any bucket on S3. Okay, So we have this bucket. Okay, let it be like this. Okay, so let's go back to our EC2 instance. So by now we know how we can connect to an instance from your terminal. So let's copy this public like this. Okay. Downloads, because our PEM file is in downloads folder. C1, C2 user. Looks like there's some permission issue. Okay, let me create a new instance then.
Why do we get that permission issue?
I think this key is old. I'm not sure. This .pem file, maybe when I would have created, it's pretty old. So I don't remember what went wrong here. So I'll try and create a new key pair for us. Or wait, I think let me try this. We have not given it the right permissions. There's something wrong with the, okay, I think we are there. Yeah, so this file, which was there on my downloads folder, I had created this key, but I hadn't given any permission to this key. So when I gave this permission, now I'm able to connect. Okay. Yeah. So if I go here now, S3 for this. See, you're not able to see anything here, right? Because EC2 is one entity, S3 is another entity. We have not given any permission to EC2 to access S3. Okay. So for that, now what I need to do is I'll go ahead and create a role. Okay. And to that role, I'll assign a full access to S3. And then that role would be associated to EC2. Okay. So after that, you'll be able to see whatever is there on your S3 bucket. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and create a okay. So why I have selected EC2? Because from EC2, I'm going to access another service. Okay. So that's why I selected EC2. Next permission. S3 full access. This is not necessary. And if you see the description also, which got populated, allow EC2 instance to call AWS services on your behalf. Okay. Now TTC to 1. Okay. Okay. So now what I need to do, I've created my role. Now, if I go ahead and launch an EC2 instance, I'll see an option to associate a role. Also from existing EC2 instance, also you can launch a resource. Rajesh, give me a second. I think there's some important stuff going on. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, yeah, now let's go to our EC2 instance. Okay, let's go ahead and see from where we can associate the role. You should see an option where, yeah, okay, this option is there. So I need to edit this. How can I edit this? Or where is the option? Few details. Okay. Action. Manage instance state. Instance setting. Edit user data. No. Change termination production. Where did it go? So what I need to do is I need to edit this and associate the role which I have created. I'm just looking for an option from where I can edit this. I think there has been some changes in the console, so I'm not able to find out. Security networking. It should show up here. Edit user data. This is about the data. Okay, not the data. I want to edit this part. Come on. Edit. Okay, should I stop and then see if edit option gets enabled? And parallelly, let me go ahead, launch a new instance and associate this role. I'll see if this gets enabled somehow and I can associate it to existing instance. But for demo purpose, let me launch a new instance. Okay. Select.
So Jyoti, how many instances can run parallelly?
I think I don't know the exact number, Brijesh. Maybe there's no limit on the number of parallel instances you run. There might be a limit on the number of instances you can run. I'm just assuming, I don't know this part. Since it's your free account, I'm assuming they might allow you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's a free account, there has to be a limit. Okay, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So, yeah. So here, if you see IAM role, now I'll go ahead and associate the role which I had created, which has got full S3 access. Okay. So I think this was our role, TTC role 1. Okay. Then review and launch. This time, let me, okay. We had given the permission to this, so I'm selecting the existing key only. Let's see if the option to edit this, why is it not allowing me to edit this? Strange. So earlier we used to see an option to attach or detach a IAM role, but somehow now I'm not getting in this section. Maybe it's somewhere else. Okay. So let me go to my new instance, which I have launched. Okay. So if I see this instance, it has got this role, TTC role 1. So now if I'll try to see S3 detail from this particular instance, I'll be able to do it. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do S3. Yes. See, so you can see the difference between the two instances which I have launched. one had the role to see the S3, and the other one was not having the required role. Okay, so see, you got for this particular instance where I had associated a role, when I did AWS S3 LS, what is this? This is the CLI command. We had studied about it previously. So you're able to see the bucket. Okay. But in the previous instance where this role was not associated, we were not able to see the bucket, and it was asking you to do some configuration. So I told you, right, there are two ways by which you can perform this lab. One is using the IAM role. Okay, so this is through IAM role. Second is using your create a user. Okay, and to that user give a permission to access EC2 and S3. Okay, and now using the access key and secret ID of that user, you'll be able to access S3 from EC2 instance. So remember, there are like three ways to connect to your services. One is your management console. Second is through programmatically. Okay, so the configure part which you are getting here, AWS configure, this is the programmatic access of a resource. Okay, so you can try this on your own and see if you're able to access a resource from an entity, like from EC2. Are you able to access S3 using a user which has the desired permission? Okay, so you either associate a role, or you create a user and give that user a permission. Okay, so you'll connect to, or let's do it here only. Okay, even I'll this is new for me, even I'll learn it. Okay, let's see if it would be quick. I'll do it in front of you, else we can take it up as an assignment. No, so they are talking about role only. They're talking about the role. Okay, so they are talking about the role. Let's see if I have any user with me and it has a programmatic access. We'll try that as well. User, add a user. Okay, yeah. So see, there's this option, select AWS credential type. So I'll take a programmatic access. Okay, next. Let me associate it with admin and see what happens here. Next, tag is not required. Admin, create user. Okay. Yeah. So I've got the access key, I've got security key, and Teapot has admin permission, which means he'll be able to see all the resources. Okay, so either I could have given him specific EC2 access, or I have, for now, I have given him the full access. Let's see if I'm able to do this now. Okay, so oh, so this instance was stopped by me. Let me just restart the instance. Okay. So I'll just repeat to avoid confusion. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to access S3 from EC2. Okay, so there are two ways to do it. First is just go ahead and assign a role to your EC2 instance, and that role should have a policy of full access S3. Okay, so you should give that permission to your role that, okay, this role has a permission to access all the resources which are there in your S3, like it can create a bucket, delete a bucket, copy content to the bucket. Okay, there's this one way. Second is create a user Okay, and to that user give a programmatic access. Okay, with programmatic access you'll have a access key and secret ID. Okay, and also give that user same permission, which is like, okay, this user can access EC2 and this user can access S3 independently. Okay, for now what I have done is I have given that user a admit permission itself. Okay, yeah, let this, yeah. It's taking some time. Mhm. Is it up? Okay, this check is still not 2x2. Yeah, give it some second. IAM role. And this is by user. Mhm, mhm. Okay, so let's see if this works for us or not. Mhm. Oh, okay. Okay. I see what we are missing. Remember when we were studying about instance store and EBS, I told you like moment you terminate your instance, your data gets deleted. Similarly, when you when you stop your instance, the IP addresses also changes. Okay. So now I need to connect with this. That's why it's not able to connect. Previously I was not able to connect because instance was not started. This time I'm not able to connect because the public IP address has changed. So now the question comes, if we want a static IP address, like, okay, there would be many times I'm going to stop my instance, okay, to do something, okay, and I want my IP addresses to be fixed. So there's this concept of elastic IP address. So that gives you a static IP address. It won't change on stopping or restarting your server, but you get paid for it. Okay. So let me do S3 ls. See, we are not getting to see the bucket. So AWS is suggesting go ahead and do this. Okay. So we'll write AWS configure. Now the access key. Okay. So what was the access key for my user? Oops. Did I open it in some tab? At times I feel we should have two monitors. We have to keep switching back and forth. This was my user. Teapot. I hope I can still see the credentials. Else it would be very difficult for me. I can see the access. I should have saved the password. Oh God. Okay, guys, give me a second. I'll recreate this user. Next tab. Next. User. Okay. So access key is this. Oh, okay. Password. Let me just copy the password. Region, which region are we in? We were in AP South, Mumbai region, right? So let me just save this, else I'll forget again. I'm just adding this in chat for reference, okay? And I'll delete this. So we were in Mumbai region, right? Yeah. Okay. Default JSON. Okay. Now let's see if we are able to access the resources of S3. See, now you're able to see the bucket. Okay, so I'll repeat because there were some hiccups while doing this lab. So the idea was to connect to your S3 via your EC2 instance. One way is by a role. Okay, so this part which you see is through role, wherein what I did, I created a role, and to that role I assigned a S3 full access permission. Okay, and then that role was associated with the EC2 instance. Okay, so after associating that role to EC2 instance, I was able to see my S3 bucket. Okay, second way was using a user, right? So what I did, I created a user named as Teapot. Okay, to that user I gave the admin permission, but if you want, you can give selected permission, like same thing, yeah, full access of EC2 and full access of S3. Okay, so I gave that permission. I came to EC2 instance, I did the configuration part and provided the access key and the secret ID of the user by which I wanted to access S3. Okay, I have specified the region where my these resources were present. Okay, and then when I did AWS S3 LS, I was able to see the bucket. Okay, and why these two, I am telling you right now, we are doing it independently, but now, for example, you want to do all these things programmatically, like there's this EC2 instance where your logs are being generated, right? Now you want to put that log from EC2 S3 for future references. Okay, so you can create a user or some dev user or some prod user kind of stuff, have a access key and secret key, and then you can write a program. So through that program, you can, through a Jenkins, you can run that program, and that program would do this copying part. Okay, second is simple. It's like you've, to a EC2 instance, you've associated a role, and now you can have a Jenkins job which is regularly doing this part, syncing from your EC2 to your S3. Okay, so this was about our first lab. Okay, second lab is some command of AWS EC2 CLI. Okay, so what all command we are going to see? We'll see how we can launch a EC2 instance programmatically. Okay, we'll see how we can see the list of EC2 instance running in a region using CLI command. We'll see how we can add a tag, how we can stop our system or terminate our instances. Okay, so let's get started. Our first command is to launch your instance. So let me just walk you through this command. Yeah. So what we are doing is AWS simple, EC2 is the service. Okay. What we are going to do is the action which we want to perform is run instance. And then we have to specify image ID. Image ID, I'll show you from where you can get the image ID. Count is number of instances you want to launch. Okay. Till now you would have seen that I have been launching just single instance. Okay. But you can launch multiple instances also together. Then instance type, I'll pick T2 micro because this is free. Key pair is what key pair I already have with me. Okay. There is a command to create a key pair also. Okay. For now, I'm going to use my TTC1 key pair. Okay. And then you have to specify the security group and subnet ID. Since we are not aware what is subnet ID, all these things we are going to cover in our future lectures. So for you can leave this part also. No need to specify secret group ID and subnet. If you write till here also, you'll be able to create an instance. So what would happen to these values? Some default values would get associated. Okay. Same way, like when I was launching an instance right now for my previous lab, I didn't pick any security group or I didn't assign any subnet. So something would have got associated with that instance. That is a default which you get when you create an account. Okay. Second is if you want to add some tag to your EC2 instance, so you can do it programmatically. Then list your instance. So whatever instance are there in your system, you can see all those. Okay. Also, you can do a lot of filtering. Like, okay, you can list instance of particular instance type, or you can see list of all the instance having particular tag. So why all these commands are important when you are going to do anything programmatically? Okay, so that time if you want to filter out certain things, you know, okay, which command to use. And then terminate your instance ID. So you've created an instance ID, now you want to terminate it. Okay, so here you see this value which is like instance ID. So from where you get instance ID, I'll show it to you. Okay. Okay, so this is your instance ID. Okay, so let's start with the simple CLI command, which is to list all the instance ID which is running on your system. Okay. So where is my terminal? Any questions till now? I hope I didn't confuse you all with my first lab.
No.
It's clear. It's clear so far for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm following since when I joined as well, so it's clear for me. I'm trying to practice the same thing you're doing.
Oh, wow.
Just trying to catch up at the same time.
Okay. So guys, remember in one of our session, I had told you like there are to set up CLI, there are certain steps you need to do. So for me, it is already set up on my machine. If it's not set up for you all, you can get the steps from the documentation. If you go back to some of my, I think when I was talking about IAM, that time I showed these steps which one need to follow to set up CLI. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and see all the instances which are running. Okay, so what was our command to do that? It is this. Okay, I'll show you something interesting with this command. List instances. See, you see two instances. Now I'll show you one more thing. If I talk about instance which are running in my account, okay, how many of them are there? 2 is there in Mumbai region. Okay. Yeah, there's one here, but you would see I didn't get this in my options. I'm just getting 2 of them. Okay. And if I go to Ohio, let me see, I think there is something running here also. Okay, here there's nothing running. So in total, if you see in my account, there are 3 instance ID which are in running state, right? But I was able to see only 2. I was not able to see 1 instance ID. Can you guess why is it so that I was able to see just 2 and not the other one? Any guesses?
Maybe
Take a
it's in different region.
Yeah, that's in different region. That's why. And from where we set up the region, it's like when you would do AWS CLI setup on your system, it asks you for the region. Okay. So if I'll show you here, AWS configure get region. See, so it's set up to AP South. So whatever is there in this region, I'll be able to see. Okay, so that's why I was able to see the instance which were there in the Mumbai region, but not the ones which were running in North Virginia or Ohio. Okay. Second, let's go ahead and launch a instance. Okay, so we've seen the list of, or let's terminate the instance first. Let's do easy command first. Okay, so we've seen all the instance here. Okay, now let's go ahead and terminate any one of them. So I'll terminate, for example, this. Okay, let's go ahead and terminate this. And we'll try to terminate the instance which is not there in Mumbai. Let's see what we get there. Yeah, so now see, your previous state was running. After running this command, your current state is shutting down. Okay, so if you go here in the Mumbai region, yeah, see, this is shutting down. Okay, let's try to terminate the instance which is there in different region. Let's see what error we see, or we are able to successfully delete it. See, it says the instance ID, this does not exist. Why? Because we can do anything which is there in the Mumbai region. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and add a tab to one of our instance. So let's again see the instance which I didn't terminate. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and add a tag to this instance. So value I've written my instance. Let me just write TTC here. Yeah, let's see the tag. Yep, this is the key. Let's see where does that, yeah. So we've added the tag also programmatically. Okay. Last part is to launch an instance. Okay. So to launch an instance, I told you we need a AMI ID. Okay. So from where you get the AMI ID. And one thing to note is the AMIs which are present in Mumbai, the AMI ID which is present in Mumbai, for instance, is not same as what is present in Virginia. I got I thought it's a free account and they would have ensured that the AMIs are fixed in all the region, but that's not the case. Okay, and that's why my instance creation was not working correctly. It was saying AMI doesn't exist. But when I used to come and see here, I used to see, oh, AMI is correct. I thought maybe I'm adding some character by mistake, all those stuff. From that, I got to know about this region constraint. Okay, so when you do a setup, okay, either select all the regions and don't specify any default region while you're setting up your CLI. Okay, so it looks like I had specified a default region as Mumbai. Okay, I'll show you also what I'm saying, that the AMI IDs are not same. Okay, so if you come, this is Mumbai. Okay, I'm taking this instance only, Amazon Linux 2 AMI, the first option. See, the ID is this. Okay, this is for Mumbai. Let's check about North Virginia. Here. See, let's see, is it same or different? See, these two are different. So you have to pick the MI of the region which you have set up in your CLI. Okay, so I've done all those things already here. Okay, so I've or should it to be on safer side? Is it safe? Yeah. Okay, so this is the command AWS EC2 run instance. Image ID is the one which I just showed you here. Okay, count as number of instance I'm launching. Okay, key I'm taking TTC1. Okay, security group for now, if you want, you can ignore this part also. Let's just ignore this. Okay, so I'll go ahead. Before that, let's see what is my current state of EC2 in South. Yeah, so one is in running state and second is in terminated state. Okay, let's go ahead and run this command and see what happens. Okay, let's refresh this. Yeah, see, you got an instance here. So just when we were creating this through management console, there were so many steps which we had to perform, right? Okay, we selected first the free tier, then we went ahead, we found a page where it was asking for the storage, then security group. So all those steps got consolidated into one line of a code, which is this. Okay. So now you see it's in running state. And since I hadn't associated any security group, so whatever would be the value, it would be the default value which got assigned. Yeah. So this is a default security group which got associated, and so is the subnet. Okay. But if you have any specific subnet and security group, if you want to assign that, even you can do it. Okay. So there are these options which helps you to add security group and subnet ID. Okay. So these were just 3-4 commands which I wanted you all to know about the EC2 CLI. Okay. So any questions till now? Because this marks the end of EC2. I'll be starting. I'll just give you the overall view of the next sessions. And now coming 4-5 sessions, they are going to be very important. They are mainly going to focus on the networking part, VPC, security group, subnet, CIDR. In fact, I would recommend that we all go back and just study what we would have studied in our college days about the how IP addresses are assigned. What do we mean by IPv4 6 and then IPv4? All those things. If you just come prepared, it would be easier for you to connect next 4-5 sessions. Okay. Any questions till now? Okay, I'll take that as no then. And
no questions indeed.
okay. So this is the overview of what we are going to study in our upcoming session. So we'll talk about AWS networking. So first and foremost thing which you'll come across when you're talking about the networking, which is a VPC, which is your virtual private cloud. Okay, so it's similar to your data center, like when we used to do setting on our on premises. Okay, so same thing now we are doing it in cloud. Okay, so hence VPC. And when we talk about VPC, there are these things which we should know. Okay, so VPC would consist of subnet. So in short, understand that you've got a IP address. Now you're dividing your IP addresses into a range. Okay, so that you do it with the help of subnets. Okay, then we'll study internet gateway. Now, if you want to access, so you've created certain resources in your subnet. Now, if that subnet resource wants to connect to a internet or to a world outside, so how would you achieve it? Through a service which is known as internet gateway. Okay, then route table you would have known, like, okay, what exactly we mean by route table. So you'll have a virtual table wherein you'll enter. Okay, so suppose like traffic from your VPC or your subnet, how it can go to outside world, and what kind of traffic from outside can come to your VPC. So all those things, they are managed through your route table. Then security groups. So you would have seen like when I was doing a lab on Jenkins, I had to open a port which was 8080. Okay, if we want to access anything via HTTPS, so you have to enable a port 443. So it's kind of a firewall which you are able to manage using security group. Okay, then NACL, which is, see, security group. When we talk about security group, it is with respect to your resources. Okay, like your resource could be your EC2 instance for now, because that's the only resource which we have studied. But when we talk about NACL, it's about subnet, wherein you are giving restrictions at the subnet level itself. Okay, then we'll study about VPC pairing. Now you have one virtual private cloud and there's another virtual private cloud, and you want to do a communication between them. So then VPC pairing comes in the picture. Then there could be a scenario that you have on-premises system. Okay, because of some security regions, there are certain things you have still set up on your on-premises, and there are certain things which is there on the cloud. So how do you connect these two entities? Okay, now if you want to connect VPC of one region or one account to a VPC of another account, can you do it? If yes, how we can do it? So we're going to study all these things in next 4-5 lecture. Here, as I told you, I would recommend if you come prepared with basics of networking, not what is router, what is switch, all those stuff, but yeah, the IP address part, at least IP address, route table. So if you'll come prepared, it would be easier for you to connect. Okay, and for overview, you can also refer to this documentation. They have pictorially depicted everything here. This is again AWS documentation itself. If you see, they talk about, okay, why do we need a route table? Okay, so this route table would determine about, okay, where network traffic from your VPC is directed. Then if you want to access anything on the internet, okay, this is your resources which you have created in your AWS account. Okay, now if this resources want to access anything from the internet, okay, so how would you do that? Okay, then yeah, so you have to specify the source, destination, all those stuff here. Okay, yeah, even this is very important. The router is there, but also there would be times, for example, database, right? You don't want to expose your database to the, you want to expose only EC2 to public, okay, but you don't want to expose your S3 or your databases. But if you want to do some patching on those resources like your database, for that you need to connect to the internet, else how would you be able to do the patching or updation? Okay, so then for that there's another kind of service which comes into picture, which helps you to connect your private resources to internet. Okay, then what else? Yeah, all these things like IPv6 cider block. And so just I'm sure you guys would know like why we went from IPv4 to IPv6, but it's good to study and come. Okay, anything else? Yeah, so they talk about the VPN also. We'll study that, connect VPC to network. So I'll try to do lab on each of these topic if they are not that costly. If they would be little costly, I'll see how I can manage the lab of these sessions. Okay.
If for the labs, if you need any support from our side, for example, for any licensing or anything like that, please let us know.
Okay. Oh, okay, Bridges. I'll let you know like if it would be small,
Yeah.
I'll manage.
No.
Yeah.
If there is a cost involved, please let us know.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Just
Thank you.
just ping me and let me know.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll handle that. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Okay. So this is it I had for today. So as I told you, this marks the end of our EC2. When I say marks the end of EC2, which means the independent part which I had to cover, I have covered, I have took labs. Okay. When we'll do a project at the end, then we'll again, so EC2 is an important service, right? It is the one which is giving you the compute. So in the project it would again come in picture. Okay, but individually with whatever was important I have told in EC2, I have told similar thing in S3 and IAM. Now I'll move towards networking, and this is going to be a 4-5 lecture on networking. Okay, I'll see if I can take a whiteboard session because there are a lot of things I need to show, so I'll see that as well. Okay guys.